Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover everything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we'll go from Earth 616 to the Mojoverse to the TVA in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
And I'm the nerd with the mouth, David.
Alliance Assemble.
Assemble.
Volume 242, and hopefully you all that celebrate it had a great Merry Christmas, and Merry Christmas to you, David.
Merry Christmas to you and everyone else as well.
Yes. We, many on this network have taken the week off, but not us. We at Marvel Alliance do this for you, the people, because that's who we love, the people.
Servants to you all.
Yes, exactly. The servants to Marvel, as our own network head Travis Snell would say, the golden standard. So, but you had a good holiday?
I did just spend time with family. They got a lot of gifts. They're all happy, so I can't complain. How about yourself?
Yep. Kids are happy, and that's what I enjoy. I enjoy watching them open the gifts, enjoying my wife opening the gifts I got for her. If I get a few gifts, yeah, it's icing on the cake. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's been good. I'm starting to finally come down off this. I've got a headache right now, but I sound better. I feel better. And I'm hoping by the end of this winter break, I will finally be done with this cold, and I never want to be sick for a while.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as a stomach virus. I will never wish a stomach virus on anyone.
No.
That is probably the worst sickness I've ever had,
Yeah.
by far. But we got Fifth of Gaming, Jack. Good evening. Just finished my comic book homework and ready to chill and start to put. Yes, he did. You shared that with me in our group chat. He got an Optimus Prime Lego from his family. So
Oh, love a good Lego set.
yes, and that's a good one too. That actually transforms. So I hope you enjoy that. But yeah, usually we probably would be off this week, but we've got What If episodes to break down. They started this past Sunday, and we're going to break down the first 5 episodes of What If. That's going to be the main bulk of our show. We do know a story came out of people putting their foot in their mouths. File that under that. We will break that down in our post credits. So that's a preview for that. But let us get into the lovely network plugs. So we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network with 6 shows covering the wide range of geek and nerdom. To see the full schedule, check out the show notes below and subscribe to the Geek Ultimate Alliance network on Twitter at GUAPod Network so you know when all the shows drop. We also have a Patreon, so if you want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got 2 tiers, our dollar tiers, or tip jar to say, hey, you think we're doing a good job? And then we've got our $5 tier with ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon-exclusive shows, including the 2 shows we've done on there. We can watch this all day, the Marvel Alliance Infinity Saga rewatch, where Brent and I watched the entirety of the Infinity Saga in chronological order. And then we just recently wrapped up the Tales from the House of X, where we watched our favorite X-Men movies from the Fox era of the franchise. So check that out. Again, we want to thank our patrons. We cannot do this without your support. But if you're not a member of our Patreon, we totally understand. But if you've got them extra Christmas money, some shekels you want to throw that way, go to www.patreon.com/GUA network and subscribe to the Alliance. We got lovely back content, including DC Alliance doing their DC films through the years, and then Joe from a walk through the multiverse, doing his multiverse minutes of his Disney deep dives. Where on the 1st and 15th of the month, he is looking at a new animated movie in chronological order from the Disney catalog. So he is going way, way, way back at that point. So get some great behind the scenes stuff and his own review of each one of those. So he's got a lot of content ready to go in for a very long time on Patreon. So, but if you're not a member of our Patreon, if you can take 30 to 90 seconds to rate and review the Marvel Alliance solo feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts, we're greatly appreciated. And last, but certainly not least, we want to thank our official sponsors. OrganicPriceBooks.com for omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. JP and the crew at OPB have got it going on with excellent customer service, immaculate packaging, ships around the world. They've got their new pre-orders live for these are the pre-order solicitations for March of next year. We've got Blood Hunt Red Band hardcovers. So this is Marvel started a new initiative where some of the singles are going to be having a red band. If you're a fan of the movies, well, red band means it's going to be kind of a hard rated R. This just means there's going to be a lot more blood in this. So what better way to do some red band branding than Blood Hunt? The event series. X Factor by Peter David Omnibus, Volume 4. This is the final volume of the illustrious Peter David run for X Factor, concluding that saga. We've got one that we never thought would see the light of day, Spectacular Spider-Man Omnibus by with J.M. DeMatteis's run of that. That is something that we've been wishing for. Coming back into print, Wolverine Goes to Hell Omnibus. That is coming back into print. That's Jason Aaron's run. And for you New Warriors fans, New Warriors, Nova, and Night Thrasher Omnibus. So that is coming into print. So use that code MarvelGUA at checkout to get $2 off every single order. And we want to thank them for being our official sponsor. All right, so Jim Scroggs coming in, just got that last year, and it's amazing. So
Nice.
Nice, very nice. All right, so What If started dropping episodes. This is the final season, season 3. I started dropping episodes on Sunday. And, before we start breaking down each of these episodes, what has been your opinion on What If so far and your high-level thoughts in the first 5 episodes?
Opinions is What If continues to come up with some impressive episode premises. Out of the 5, there was only one that was, to me, weaker than the others, but they are all generally good. None of them I've been like, this is just a bad episode. I can just completely do without it. It's just one was a little bit weaker than the others. But other than that, it started strong, ended strong in these first 5, and I really look forward to see how the back half of this season ends.
Yeah, I have a little different opinion on that. I've enjoyed What If as a series. I love the idea of the concept. Now, if I know this is a Marvel show, but I'm going to show my allegiances to the other side, to the distinguished competition, that I've always preferred Elseworlds to What If. The reason behind is I think Elseworlds is a little more complex in the sense of what they try to do with it, but with What If, it's always like, we're going to change one thing and see what that happens. Cool idea with the butterfly effect. But this was a series that I was disappointed to hear this was going to be last, because this could go on forever. They could continue doing this. And when they originally provided the concept that What If was going to be just going to be based on characters and movie and properties that they have done and just tweaking it away, I said, okay, that's limiting. I get it, but you could do more. First season was okay. Proof of concept. Wanted to see more. Last season really shined. Like almost every single episode. I think the one starting off with Nebula and that kind of Blade Runner kind of motif they had going on, that was like, okay, we're trying something different. And I thought the entire season, for the most part, really, really nailed it. This season, the first 3 episodes, I was like, okay. Out of the first 3, I think one has been a just no. It just wasn't for me. I get what it was trying to do.
I want to see if we have the same episode that's our opinion on.
It was, again, not my tempo. I'm not going to call anything trash, because I don't think anything in this series is trash. It's just not for me. And I didn't, we haven't seen a group of characters since their movie. And now we've got basically 2 episodes referencing them at that point and saying, oh, we're trying to make them a thing again. That's wonderful. It proves the point that we can only make them a thing in animation and not the actual live action anymore. But the last 2 episodes, 4 and 5, 4, funny. I appreciate it. I think I appreciated it upon a second watch than I did the second one. I had a lot of eye rolls in not because I'm not the fun police. It was just more of like, all right, so but once I accepted the premise of what that episode was going for, the second rewatch was better, and it ranks a little bit higher. But this episode that dropped today on Thursday, that's my What If. That's the What If I came to know and love and really appreciate and really thought second season really honed in on and did a good job with. But yeah, I think the next 3 episodes have the way they set up. what's getting ready to happen, especially what I think tomorrow's is going to be on Friday. I'm really looking forward to that because I think we might get a little bit of Kate Bishop action coming at us pretty strong. So I'm hoping. So, but yeah, let us take our first ad break before we start breaking down these. So if you have not, we'll give you a spoiler warning. We'll kind of do breaks in between. We're not going to take like ad breaks for each one of these, but we'll let you know if you watch only a couple of these episodes, not all of them. Listen to us until we get to the ones you watched. If you haven't listened to them, pause. Or if you don't want to be spoiled, we're about to spoil the heck out of it. So listeners, these ads help keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud. So give you that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. All right, so the first episode is I'm glad they kind of started off with this. What if the Hulk fought the Mech Avengers? So when we saw the preview, the first trailers of this, we were like, all right, we are hearkening back to a lot of our geekdom with this.
Yep.
Many people think, oh, they're homaging Power Rangers. No, let's go further back than that.
Yes.
Let's go back. They are homaging the original Zords of it. We're talking Japanese Spider-Man when Marvel and the company that brought us to Power Rangers, Toa, they worked together to bring Spider-Man to Japan, and he had a Zord. He had a mech at that point. That led to Super Sentai. That led to all this different stuff. So, like, when people say, "Oh, it's Power Rangers," they're tipping at Voltron. No, that's how far back this goes. You can thank Marvel's alliance with Toa to why we got Power Rangers.
Yeah, this references back to the 70s, I believe 78 and 79, when Spider-Man's Japanese, or it was just Spider-Man in Japan and then Japanese Spider-Man or Toei Spider-Man when translated. But yeah, it ran through the end of the 70s, and this gave me all those feels. Now, yes, there are parts of it that do have little nods to Power Rangers. There's parts of it that do have little nods to Gundam, but this is a through and through, hey, we've been doing this for a while, in case y'all forgot.
And it's a cool idea. So the episode starts off with watching an animated show breaking down what is basically what happened in the real world. Now, we don't know, but it's cool. So they're paying homage to the history of Marvel animation. Now, it's also tipping the hat to Earth's Mightiest Heroes in the animation, and the score is very much like the 70s show, which I thought was cool. Hulk's eyes are green like they were in the 80s anime show with his purple pants. Can't forget the
Tony
purple
Stark's
pants.
hair.
Tony Stark's hair in the illustrious, like the 90s Iron Man show. I'm a big fan of that show. I don't care. Nobody can take that away from me. And the van they're going in with Hawkeye and Black Widow, like the Mystery Machine. That was cool. But what does the animated show reveal what's been going on in this world?
So, in this world, everything changes after the Hulk tries to de-Hulk himself, and there's a huge fallout from that has basically put us in a not so dystopian future where his reactions to his gammas has created a far-reaching thing. And I did not expect this to be a Hulk-centric episode as much as it was with the personal struggles of the Hulk. That kind of caught me off guard. Like, I thought it was just going to be a beat 'em up action style, but they really delved into when Hulk trying to get rid of the Hulk and the fallout of the Gamma and all his feelings out of it. That went a little bit deeper than I expected out of this episode.
Yeah, I mean, upon rewatch and seeing like what the animation like kind of did, and then we realized, oh, this is really happening, and they kind of retreaded a lot of steps, kind of fill in the blanks. I'm not sure that worked as well because it finally felt like a little waste of time. I'm not sure Like they definitely, I think, could have cut off the animation a little bit more because it just felt like we were retreading some steps and filling in the blanks about that. I know what they were trying to go for, but I felt a little bit of double dipping with that one. Now, what the massive Hulkbusters, they actually did do this in Earth X with the mecha suits. That was the coolest. If you've never read Earth X, highly recommend that as well. But did you catch the what the kid was eating when we came out of the animation with what she was eating? Did you catch the cereal?
No.
Cappen's Munchies, taking off of Cappen's Crunch. A little suggestive
Nice.
on that one too. So I do like. How'd you like the tip of the hat of like we're now doing Winter Soldier, but instead of Sam and Steve meeting, it's now Bruce and Sam, and Sam's kind of the go-to at that point. And Mr. Hines must have been laughing.
A little
at the,
on your
On
left.
your left. Yep, a little on your left. So, but I think it worked real well because of what Sam was at that point, being a advocate, being a veteran, but also helping veterans deal with their PTSD and seeing a kinship within Bruce, even though he didn't let him in. Him trying to help him understand his trauma, whatever it was. But then when Hulk gets revealed and he says, "Okay, I'm going to get rid of this Hulk by double gamming myself,"
Yeah.
and instead he just separates the two personalities. Now that's been a kind of a theme, not Bruce trying to get rid of the Hulk, but when he's done something to try to do that and him having completely separated himself from Hulk. That has happened a number of times in the comics. What did you think about that? How he became a monster as they became known as the Apex Hulk.
Yeah, I was a little shocked. So I was liking the build up between Sam and Bruce's friendship. Then yeah, he had his turning point where he turned back into the Hulk, and then he ran off, and you had that longing moment of Sam looking at him like, "But I'm your friend," and going from there. But I thought the look of the enhanced Hulks, the Apex Hulk, and everything else, that was a cool scene. But yeah, I will agree with you that it's been overdone with the trope of Hulk does something, Hulk decides, all right, it's time to separate Banner from the Hulk. Chaos ensues.
And if you want a kind of a good recent like Hulk, like Bruce and Hulk trying to come to some kind of terms at that point, read Donny Cates' run, and we get to see Spaceship Hulk. that was a wild ride coming off of Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk at that point. So we get a flash of what had happened. So David, how did the heroes were the heroes able to take down Apex, or how did that work out for them?
They sure tried, and I will say this: Moon Knight's mech suit is incredible, just incredible. They tried, but they were going to need a little bit more help than they were able to just on their own. And I mean, they were getting their butts beat at one point.
Yeah, and they lost a lot of heroes. They lost a lot of heroes. So who survived the Gamma Wars?
So let's see. We had our main heroes living out.
We got Sam.
Sam. We have who else? Monica Rambeau. Mm-hmm. We've got Moon Knight. Who else is on there?
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, who also had an awesome one. His mech even had the rings coming out of it, which was pretty cool.
And then Nakia. And interestingly enough, all of them are voiced by the original actors except for Nakia and Melania. Because we got Melania and Red Guardian there as well. So you get a lot of Red Guardian in What If right now.
I will say this about the fact that they have some of their actors come back and reprise their voice roles. I love it when I'm watching the actors, but then it does become jarring when you have someone who is replacing a role and it takes you even further out because they sound so different. You've gotten so used to everyone else sounding like they do, and you have these memory voices, and then you have somebody else who's not them, and it's obviously not them. It does kind of take you out of it for a second.
Yeah, and that really rings true to me when we get Grandmaster.
Yes.
Late in the that really, I was like, that's not Jeff Goldblum. That's someone trying to be Jeff Goldblum, and it's got what I will say the Kevin Costner trying to pull off a English accent effect. So, but yeah, so we get the idea that peace has been established with, that they were able to defeat it, but then we get more like 10 years later, it's starting to come back, and they're wondering why, and Sam and Monica go investigate, and they come to find out Apex is back, and all his like spawn are getting ready to make another invasion basically a sneak attack invasion to try to catch everyone off guard. And so they don't do so well against the minions. They're left woefully unprepared. But before that, Monica tries to ask Sam, "Hey, have you tried to bring Bruce into this?" And Sam's like, "No, not going to do it. It's his pride that's getting in his way." you know?
Yeah. They established their friendship, they established their connection, and then you got the strong-willed, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be the one to say I'm sorry type deal.
Yeah, and it's always like we're not gonna do this. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, I think Steve would probably be the same way, at that point. He was the same way with Tony, and that doesn't surprise us. So, but yeah, and so they realize they're outmatched, and that's when Monica reveals, saying, "Well, good thing I got Bucky looking into that as well. He's another one of the survivors." And they go find out where Bruce is holed up, and he's holed up on this island. And I'd like to think, like, where he's retreated, like Astra Island.
Yeah.
Even though we never find out, like, what the island is in She-Hulk, I want to say that's the same island he's held up in She-Hulk.
That's what I thought as well. And that scene of landing the mech and then walking out of the water onto the beach to approach Banner, I love that scene. Stan just has this stride about him, and it was that cool, badass, we don't look back type moment of him landing the mech in the water and walking through the beach.
And gotta love his conversion of the bomber and saying, "Oh yeah, what's that? That's just a nuclear bomb. No, don't worry about it. I'm just, it's okay." And he gives them saying, here's the, he said, I designed something to help you all with the mighty Avenger, the protocol. And we all know where this is going. What is the mighty Avenger protocol he designed?
So he designed basically the full-on, we're coming together with the Megazord.
Yeah, and it's a cool transformation when they finally can bring everyone together, even though it's like, I don't know, we've never tested this. It's like, well, shoot, guys. We got to do something, because either we're going to stand here and die separately, or we're going to try this out and die on our feet, so.
Yeah. It's like, if we run this and it doesn't work, at least we tried.
So they're able to stand. They're able to do some cool moves. I love the transformation sequence. And very, very, like we said, very Power Rangers-esque with all the teams coming together.
But they called Avengers Assemble in order to come together.
But Avenger Assemble. Avenger Assemble. They kept it singular at that point to make the one Avenger. And it was very, very cool. I thought the fight sequence was really cool. But Apex was able to get one up on them. And someone comes out of there to save their life, and it's Bruce calling him on his left.
Yeah, came in like a wrecking ball. So
but yeah, what is he getting ready to do? That's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's about to drop a bomb, and he's like, "No, guys, I got this. I know what I'm doing." and they're like, sir, you are literally riding a bomb into battle.
A la Doctor Strangelove or How I Learned to Love the Bomb and Stop Worrying.
Yeah.
But literally, he is in the bomb. And when it explodes, he becomes his own version of Apex Hulk. Except, and he goes toe to toe. But the way he looks, oh, this is a direct look of like Hulk Godzilla. The tail, the spikes, how he ignites himself. Yeah, this is the Marvel's version of Godzilla. Who, for a time, Marvel did have the rights to produce a Godzilla comic.
Full kaiju battle ensues.
Yep. And much like Godzilla, he is a protector of humanity, and humanity needs to trust him. And he was able to take down Apex in glorious fashion. And when they're worried about, like, is Hulk going to do it? Is this Hulk going to be good to us? And Sam looks at him like he said, on the boat, I look at you as a friend. I look at you in fear. You're my friend. You know, we're whatever you need, I've got your back. And, you know, love conquers all. And he turns around, takes all his minions to Astra Island to, you know, whenever humanity needs it, Godzilla will come.
Yeah. As he stands atop and gives his mighty roar.
Yep. Like a lion on Pride Rock, right? So, overall, not a bad episode. An okay episode. It was cool just to see kind of how this team came about. And, but yeah, overall, okay beginning. Now we get to episode 2. What if Agatha went to Hollywood? So probably the probably quickest turnaround from concept to what if. Now, again, when they create these shows, they do animation. These are years in development. So, you know, people say, man, they were able to put this together fast. And no, they've had a plan for this. So Agatha went to Hollywood. Yeah, this was an episode I saw. I really watched it. I've gone on the record before. I enjoyed Agatha all along by the end. I was very much impressed. I was not high up on it originally, but by the end of it, I was sold. This episode, not so much. This episode felt like a very instead of Agatha trying to go for power, and we're gonna say that she discovers the slumbering eternal that is there and wants to claim the power, and has apparently been taking out the Eternals in order to wake our sleeping Celestial.
Yeah, it wasn't anywhere near one of the best episodes that they've had. I felt like it's the opening of it. It gave me hope. The dance number was fun the first time I watched it, but after that, I felt like the last third of the episode just really started to fall off for me. And although it had some cool animation scenes that, again, for what you said, these animations normally take so long to produce, so long to get through. The fact that they created these cool animations with Agatha says a lot about that character and how much they put on this character to lead this episode. But even with that, the story itself, it was a little bit of a fall off for me.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you're a fan of like the movies from the 20s, 30s, and 40s, the Big Dance Mothers, Busby Berkeley, they definitely brought that down in the sense of like the pageantry. I mean, that's what Hollywood was back then. Like these musical numbers, and I love it that, you know, we get Kingo brought in this, so we've got more of the Eternals coming in.
Yeah.
And voiced by Kumail Nanjiani. And he already knows. Like I was like, he's gonna already figure this out. Like he already knows what's going on, and finding out that he's the Prime Eternal now because all his buddies have been, I guess, quietly taken out but not killed, because really I think she just kind of deactivated them because they really are robots.
Yeah.
You know, they did. I love the kind of the dance sequences between both of them. That was cool. I did appreciate that, and I like kind of the honoring of the Hollywood of that era to Bollywood back in the day. Howard Stark being a movie producer doesn't surprise me at all. That worked out really well, especially with the actor reprising his role again. But her quest for power and everything like that, waking up Tiamat and taking that power, and then we get the angry Celestial coming down and get him try to take it out, and they're able to take out. I think it was Astra, if I'm not mistaken, or I can't remember the name of that particular Celestial. But anyways, not important as much because it's almost like when the Watcher goes, well, people love a happy ending, but they love a cliffhanger more, and you see the other three Celestials there. I was like, okay, I mean, it was a good kind of, all these technically are really bottle episodes, but like this one, it just didn't do much for me, wasn't meant for me, and this is the one I would say was the low light for these 5 episodes for me, just because I like the character of Agatha, I really do now. This didn't serve anyone's purpose. If you didn't like Agatha at all, you're not going to care much for this episode. You're just going to say like, it's just more of the same, and who is Kingo?
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like if you did not watch Eternals, you would be severely lost with this episode. I will say one fun thing at the end, though, was when they were revealing themselves and who they were, and Howard going, like, yeah, I've known all along. I'm the smartest person here. Do you think I wouldn't figure this out?
Yeah, that was good. That was really saying, all right, yeah, he really is a smart one at that point.
I was like, yeah, you're an alien, you're a witch. I already know.
Like, do you think I just assumed, like, those pyrotechnics were just coming out of nowhere? No. But yeah, so Agatha went to Hollywood. Was that your low level one as well?
Yes. That was my low level. Like I said, it had the spots, the dance routine was a nice homage. It had the Bollywood feel. It gave that thing. If you had not watched the Eternals, you would be lost with some of the things that were going on with this. But other than that, yeah, the last act of this show really story wise didn't really hold anything to me, and it didn't really feel like Agatha's character as a whole towards the end. So I get that, yes, she'd be happy with the fame in that moment, but this isn't the quest for power Agatha. This was just I'm famous, I can be happy with that. So
yeah,
it was just kind of a low light.
Like in that sense of like, I can do anything I want now. I'm just going to quest for more power and reshape the world. I was like, all right, we're going to have this turn where, but you don't want to do that. You want to do this. It's like, oh, come on, please.
Yeah.
Do better. All right, but the next episode, this is an interesting one because this is what we got our preview of at the end of last season, entitled "What If the Red Guardian Stopped the Winter Soldier?" What'd you think of this one?
This one took a couple of rewatches for me to catch all the little bits, but I did like, hey, we're starting off with the mission report, December 16th, and I loved Red Guardian.
That'll never get old. Every December 16th.
I loved Red Guardian in this episode. His try hard was just peak for me. Like, he just wants to be somebody, and it's coming across in everything that he does. And juxtaposing him with Bucky's straight-lacedness, his I just want to complete the mission, was hilarious.
Red Guardian is going to be one of those characters that I kind of call it the Will Ferrell effect. I like Will Ferrell movies. I don't like Will Ferrell by himself. When Will Ferrell's by himself, I get very annoyed very easily. But when he's playing off people, like one of my favorite comedies of all time, The Other Guys, I love it. He's got people to play it off of and things like that. Same thing. I think the one exception to my rule with that is Talladega Nights. That's my one exception to that rule. Now, I've seen enough of Elf. I don't care for that movie. Hate me if you want. Sorry, not my Christmas movie. But Red Guardian, in this case, like he needs people to call him out. I think David Harbour, it has nothing against David Harbour. There will never be a Red Guardian solo project. I think what makes this episode well is that you've got the straight man being Bucky to play off of the aloof and constant trying to boost the ego that really wasn't of Red Guardian, of Alexei.
Yeah. It's the buddy cop trope. He works well in the buddy cop trope. You need the serious guy, and then you need the reckless one. So this Bucky's playing the I'm too old for this.
Yep. and they do a good job in the sense of like when we get him meeting with Dreykov, and Alexei's just like, I want to do a mission. I want to do this, and he's like, wait a minute, I'm going to Ohio, which is kind of where we were picked up meeting him for the first time in Black Widow. Ends up stealing the plans of where Winter Soldier was going to go to take out the Starks, and it's not even like he cares about it. He just wants to be the one to do this mission. And he's so blindsided. It's like, no, dude, it's not about you. That is not what you're used for. Like, you are a propaganda object. Kind of like, unfortunately, what Steve was to the Allies until he took it upon himself. So he's thinking, oh, if I take this upon myself, I'll be looked at differently. When really, he doesn't get it. And so when he says, oh, we don't have to take out, we just need to get the thing and leave. And Bucky's like, no, no witnesses. It's like, and Alexei's like, no, we need to take this and go. No witnesses. So that would have been interesting to see the continuation of that, of the Stark still being alive. What would that have done? I mean, they lost the super soldier serum completely. What would that have done to the entire timeline?
Yeah, his not wanting to be originally data input manager changed to senior data input manager.
Yes.
I was like, I am Mother Russia's super soldier. I should be doing more. I need to go find the rook, the chess piece. Like, I can make everything happen. Just let me do it. And they're like, no, here's your role. You are a face on a poster, but where we need you to be is just over here.
Yes. Have a fake family, be like the Americans, and do this. And he doesn't want to. And I love the hijack. And it's almost in a sense of, I was a little caught off guard, like how suave Bucky became, especially when they were on the run. I was like, that's not how Winter Soldier ever came across in our first introduction to it. So I was really kind of caught off guard. And I'm not sure I liked it as much because that just didn't take, because that's Bucky deprogrammed. That's not Bucky Winter Soldier. If anything, he's the drone that's going to do everything. And the fact that he's going along with Lexi, I understand plot and protagonist, but that just didn't ring true to what Winter Soldier had been introduced to us where he was. That's deprogrammed Bucky.
Yeah, from everything that I've seen with shows like The Americans and other spy shows like that, if this is program Bucky, he wouldn't be so suave. He would want to be unmemorable. That's why he keeps his head down, does what he does, has to get out. You don't want to be remembered. You don't want to be that person that someone's always like, hey, remember that guy that we met that time? He was just so nice. Like, you don't want that face. You want to just keep on going about your business so that when a news report comes out, no one recognizes you. So this was a little bit suave Bucky with all the charisma did take me a little bit off guard.
Yeah, especially, that you even heard when Natasha would talk about the Winter Soldier saying he's a ghost. Like, he takes people out. He either from afar with a gun or up close at night. Like, he's not a agent on the ground. Like, he's not one to be embedded and build assets and build up reports, stuff like that. That's not who he is. That's someone like Alexei is going to be, and Alexei is being used for. So when he comes out of that, I mean, again, it would have been very hard to develop an episode with that. So I understand what they did. It just didn't ring true to what we should have come to expect with Bucky at that point. But I did enjoy, once I got past that, I enjoyed the back and forth between them, especially when they make their way to Vegas and they discover who the Rook is and who is the Rook in this whole thing.
So we have a nice little Iron Man callback with this, and I was actually a little bit shocked when he turned around and so I saw the bald head and I was like, all right, so where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? And then you hear the voice, and I'm not quite sure if it was played by Jeff Bridges or not, but
I didn't
yeah,
check the credits, but I'm if I were to be a betting man, I'd say no.
yeah, but you got another loony plot by Obadiah Stane, who's just like, hey, I did my part. I
Yeah.
gave you guys some intel. Like, I don't know what you mean that I'm supposed to be this great double agent. Like, no.
It should be my name being put on the walls. Instead, I'm giving like a hospital update. So, chaos ensues, and Bucky ends up killing Obadiah.
Yeah.
By shoving up. No, when he hit the water, I was like, oh, he survived. I was like, but I'm glad they said physically, no, he shouldn't survive coming down from that height, and I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah.
'cause
So
Obadiah stayed dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. He ain't coming back. Now, what did you think? Now, even backing up further than that, when Bucky and Alexi are on the run, they come to meet another interesting person from that time period. That's a Shield agent. Who do they come across?
now I was happy to hear Lawrence Fishburne's voice in this, and I was like, oh, they actually got him in as Bill Foster. So I was like, okay, so where are we gonna go with this now that we've brought Bill Foster into this? And his no nonsense approach to it, like you could tell the entire time, like I'm not buying the act. I'm not buying the act.
And he goes full giant man. And,
Yeah.
and shows off the suit and everything like that. And, is able to do what he can, but Alexi's able to take him down at one point, and then when they get to Vegas, Bucky's able to kind of take him down. But it was cool to see in animation, seeing Bill Foster kind of go full giant man, like we'd known in the comics he was known for at that point. And I thought he did a good job. I like him playing off of the national parks cop played by America Ferrara.
Ranger Morales.
Yep, Ranger Morales at that point. So that was cool. I thought they had a good kind of dynamic going. But now when Bucky was told to take out Alexi, I think we both knew that wasn't going to happen. You know. And when they find out that he didn't do it, all right, well, you're all going to be taken down. I thought when they were going to come out and try to take all those soldiers down, I thought we were going to end like a Butch Cassidy and a Sundance Kid and just go black and white, just hear the fire and credits. And just tick a whole bunch of people off saying, well, did they make it or not? I said, have you seen Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid? They don't make it.
Yeah.
You need to see it. I thought that's where they're going to go. Glad they didn't, but that's where, because they had that freeze frame and they had they had Uatu kind of speaking about it. But what did you think about how it kind of ended, where Alexi gets a shot to kind of disappear for a little bit?
Yeah, Bob Toledo gets to go and teach kids how to play dodgeball in middle school, and he gets his moment of reprieve. He even gets his shield back, and poor Bucky has to go back under as Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I do like Bill gives him a shot that he wants to be a part of the change, and there he is at the Avengers, and we got Captain America next to his buddy Red Guardian.
I like the little shoulder bump as he joins the iconic turn motion shot from the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, so but yeah, this was a definitely a step up from the previous episode. A lot of good callbacks to that. But let's take our next ad break before we go into our last two episodes. So listeners, these ads help keep the lights on at Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. If we don't get to choose what ads come on, they could be a bit loud. Give that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we're back. So, David, I'm going to let you start this one off because I like I said, I know you liked it a lot more than I did at first at that point. I liked it a little bit better. But yeah, talk to us about what if Howard the Duck got hitched.
So this is the episode that made me laugh more than any of the others. And I mean, that is its intent with Howard Duck. The premise is he and Darcy meet at a party and they end up getting together and having a baby. And by baby, I mean Darcy has an egg. And
And
this egg,
what party did they meet at? Because they got a big callback to a season one
yes.
episode.
So we're throwing it back to season 1, episode 7. They met at Thor's party. So the same party that everyone was at. And we make a lot of callbacks to this party throughout the episode, where they were going on a not so date when they met each other, because there were some half price nachos because it was still happy hour when the party got shut down. So they decided to go hang out, and the rest after that is history. They fall in love, they make a baby, get married, everything else, and go on to live their life. But this egg becomes the center point of everyone's attention, to the point where they get an invite from the Grand Master to his next party ship. All expenses paid. It's a great family vacation for everybody.
Yeah, he invites him on there, and this is where, when you see the Grandmaster and you hear the voice, I was like, "Oh, you are not Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah,
You are
no,
definitely not." I mean, again, it's not an easy kind of voice to kind of pull off at that point, but the times when it was really good. But when it kind of slipped back and forth, it was like, "Ooh, yeah, glad we're not seeing a lot of this at this point." But why? What ends up being the the real reason why they're invited onto the ship? Because they just didn't get lucky in being invited because of who Darcy and Howard the Duck are.
well, they had a special menu that invited everyone there to feast on Howard and Darcy's egg. So the egg was about to be
Cannibals.
on on the menu. Now we do have a nice little appearance by a Wandu trying to get at the egg for Broker, but yeah, it's the cannibals coming to.
I guess not
Take it
cannibals.
in-
They're just gonna eat like an egg at that point. So I mean,
They were going full hibachi grill.
Yep. And yeah, Yondu comes in, tries to take it, and this becomes like the chase to kind of save their egg while everyone's after it. Like they end up in Jotunheim with Frost Giant Loki at his resort, and everyone just like, I mean, name it. This was like, Leo pointing at the screen of like how many different cameos came in this episode. I mean, who else showed up to
And-
chase down this egg?
Well, and that's why the Grandmaster's voice threw me off, because in this episode, everyone reprised themselves. You had Michael Rooker coming back. You had Tom Hiddleston as Frost Giant Loki. You had Chris Hemsworth as Party Thor. Samuel L. Jackson and S.H.I.E.L.D. are in this thing, including Agent Coulson, played by Clark Gregg. Like, everyone who was
Josh
in the original
Brolin came
popped
back.
in. Thanos, Ebony Maw was there, and he's like, "Why did you summon me?" He's like, "For this egg." He's like, "But it's magic." Like, everybody was there.
See, when Thanos came down and had that reaction, I said, I feel seen by this, because I'm at this point, that's during my first watch, and I'm like, I feel like Thanos. Why am I watching this? Why is this here? I get it. I'm not the fun police or anything, but it's just like, why?
Yeah.
But yeah, this egg is supposed to be some sort of like, it's some sort of power at that point. And then when it starts kind of getting ready to hatch, it goes full on, I'm going to protect mom and dad and myself, and goes, I don't know, full Dragon Ball Z at that point, with launching all these different energy powers.
Yes. I think it lit up. It was protecting. Now, I will say, they mentioned the power of the egg, and they mentioned the convergence again in this episode.
Yep.
So you've got your thread that's going through the season. I laughed at Malekith showing back up, and
Definitely
they
not
just-
voiced by the original actor, because Christopher Eccleston, I can't remember. I can't ever say his last name. The new Doctor from Who got relaunched.
the Ninth Doctor.
The Ninth Doctor. There we go. I'm still beginning in my Who journey, but he is definitely not coming back to reprise this role. So I was not disappointed too. I mean, it would have been cool, but yeah, he wants nothing to do with this part.
Yeah, so everyone's after it. Like I said, Ebony Maw shows up and he's there for a retreat because they've got a coupon and then they realize what's going on. Now they're joining the fray. That's when they call in Thanos. Like, it just becomes a whole big thing. You have the huge chase of everyone, including Howard running after this egg. Darcy is sprinting. She is going full force, yelling at Howard to keep up.
Mama
He's
Bear's
like,
coming.
it's like, I can't. My legs only go so far. And I remember doing some runs with a friend of mine and they were 5 foot, and that's what they would always say is it was unfair because I'm 6'3" and I'm running next to them. They're like, yeah, my little legs don't go like that. And so I felt Howard's pain in that one. But yeah, everyone's chasing down this egg, and then yeah, it goes, the egg lights up, goes full Super Saiyan, and yeah, as they're just singing can't get enough of me, or I don't remember exactly what the name of that song is,
But they do call out saying, "Oh, no, Kiss did it originally."
yeah,
and
then Zeus shows up.
Oh my God! Why?
Thunderbolt,
Why?
Thunderbolt,
I know.
Thunderbolts.
It's just like anyone who hated that character from Thor: Love and Thunder. It's just like a collective groan went out in the universe at that moment. It's like, oh God, why? Why are we bringing him into this? Even like Coulson and Nick Fury saying like, no, you're not good enough parents to raise this. I was like, oh, that'll make any parent say like, oh, screw you. We're going to prove you wrong. But then when, like you said, when it hatches, we get the look at the baby, kind of looking like this very powerful human duck hybrid. And, because why not? Because we did it in the first Howard Duck movie. Why not try to bring it into animation form?
Yeah.
So they're able to, Fury and Coulson give their blessing, saying, "Fine, you are good parents. We'll let you kind of raise the kid. Let us know if you need us." And they get some time at the resort for free as an apology from Loki.
Yeah, and then I like the ending with them going and putting the baby to bed. As a father of two, I've had many of these nights where you try and get them comfortable and do the back shimmy out of the door, try not to hit any creaking floorboard, shut the door correctly, and everything else like that. So it was a nice, fun episode. They wove in about the convergence, but it wasn't any big haymaker episode. I felt like it gave you a moment to laugh before what's coming next.
Yeah, and it was a Christmas day. I get it. You want to have like a big bummer episode and downer for Christmas Day. So and when I saw it was coming out on that day, I was like, all right, that's appropriate.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. But so then we get into the final episode for that we're going over tonight is what if the emergence destroyed the Earth, and who is coming back? That's coming back again. That we're gonna make a thing again. Who's being referenced again?
So we've got an Eternals reference. So we got the Celestials. They're really, again, for an IP that has been dropped. No one's talked about it. They haven't talked about it. They really made it a focal point of this season of What If. So, and I don't know if they do have future plans with the Eternals that they're going to say, hey, you guys need to go back and watch this. But they get another nod. But I am also glad that Riri Williams got her time to shine in this episode.
Yeah, this is one where, we were talking offline. I have a feeling that they, I believe, expected Armor Wars to have already have been out by now, so that way Riri could have been a character that was more in the minds of the people, because, again, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever has been a bit. I mean, I'm not saying it's like 20 years old or anything like that, but it's definitely not been a recent memory, considering. But, yeah, so in this case of the episode where Tiamat hatched and destroyed the Earth. And so now what's existing are what is it? Like somehow society is now living on these Earth fragments, if that's even possible, which is interesting.
So Tiamat split the earth. It didn't explode or anything else. It just looked like, somebody broke an egg and there's just pieces, but it's still centralized in its own atmosphere. Like nothing has spread out or anything else like that. So you still have the world. It's just now it's fragmented. And the world, everyone's living in their own area. And Quentin Beck has rose to power, taking over Stark Industries and ruling everything.
Yeah, we've got like the what are they called? The it's not the Iron Legion, but they called them something different. It was something, but they're basically all looking like a whole bunch of Ultrons, going around and patrolling, and the Alliance is the Resistance, as it were. But we get the Riri trying to get some components to what we're assuming is building a weapon to take them down.
Yeah, meeting with the power broker.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. What a surprise! Because they didn't even call out in the closed captioning. Because I went back and forth, and at no point did the closed caption say power broker or who her other alias is at that point, Sharon Carter.
Yeah, no, went straight to it. I did the same thing. I turned on captions to see because I'm like, okay, it looks like, and this scene feels like, but I want to just double check, make sure I'm not wrong. There was no calls to let you know who she was talking to.
And so I think also voiced by Emily Van Camp, if I'm not mistaken. I think she did come back to do that like brief kind of bunch of lines.
Yeah, you had a lot of people come in for a brief cameo with this. Tessa Thompson did Valkyrie in this. So, and yeah, Jason Isaacs, they got in this, and Emily Van Camp came back as Sharon Carter. So I was happy to hear a lot of those voices, and Dominique Thorne doing her thing. So I was having those voices that you recognize that does not take you out of that. Again, I'm all for that.
Yeah, especially when she's basically up against the wall, and we see basically Vision. What we think is like, oh my God, Vision's lost control because we don't know who's pulling the strings at this point and who is literally in charge of these Vision, the Ultrons. Who is pulling the strings?
So we've got Quentin Beck, Mysterio, who is the grand person in charge of everything. He rose to power. He's taken over. He's got people fooled because with his Legion and his ability to manipulate and things like that, you don't know what's real and what's not. So if I'm out doing something or if I'm part of this resistance and I see a bunch of bots flying by, I don't know if they are real bots from him taking over Stark Industries or if they are just fabrications and illusions that Quentin Beck has mustered up. So got to be careful with everything. His army looks 100 times more powerful than it really is.
Yeah, and especially where, like you said, like you never know because if he's got all these whatever resources he does have, even the illusions still fire real stuff at the people, So, but the fact that he was able to take what was left and create this basically this empire out of what was left to control it, and the Resistance ends up saving Riri after she's basically pushed off the ledge. And who are the leaders of what is remaining of the Alliance?
We got our boy Wong.
Yep, Wongers.
I am so happy anytime I get to see some Wong action out here. So Wong is out here, and Wong had a tough moment in this. Let me go ahead and give Wong his flowers right now, because when he stands up to Vision, my man is looking like he's about to go toe to toe. So we've got Wong here. God, who else is on this squad?
We've got oh God, why did I forget the name? All of a sudden, it's dropping for me. Gosh, I hate this when this happens.
Yeah.
We've got, man, I just totally blanked. We've got one of Shang-Chi's, I want to say Shang-Chi's mom.
Yeah, Shang-Chi's mom
Shang-Chi's mom.
is a part of it.
And, God, one more key one. Why am I losing this? Man, we are bad.
And the head of the Dora Milaje, whose name is escaping me right now.
Oh, gosh. People are shouting at us and saying, "Oh, think of it,
I know.
think of it."
Someone it should be yelling in the comment section right now because we should have this Okoye.
Yes, Okoye. Yes, Okoye. So, man, I hate it when like it was like, and you call this as your favorite episode, you don't even know it. It's all right. Forgive me, bad Marvel fan. So they make up what's left of the alliance, and they kind of tell her what's been going on, and that she's got this idea to build this weapon that could possibly disrupt vibranium and take it down because she's been able to possibly do that. So she was like, okay, I've got a lab. We got a lab here. They're like stationed on the Titanic, and then they get readings that a vision's on its way, and it said, how much time do you need? 12 hours? You have 7.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, why 7.5 minutes? That's how long the protection spell is going to be.
Like that's what you got. We'll try our best to hold them off, but that is what you got.
And so she is somehow, even though Vision's taken down every one of their people, she's able to, at the last second, pull it off and take down Vision. And, knowing that all that's left are the leaders of the resistance, all their men are lost, she has this idea that she can, scuttle, basically use Vision's parts to create a iron suit of her own, a Vision suit that she can wear over it and see past the illusions and use it to disrupt the neural network and take down Mysterio once and for all. So how does that assault go?
Well, first of all, the Watcher sees her do this, and all he does is go, "Here we go again." Like, he knows this is not going to go well for her. Now, she looks badass in her outfit. I'm not going to lie. She starts off strong. She's like, look, using Vision's, I can see all of Quentin Beck's stuff. I know what's real. I know what's not. Follow me. Stay on my tail. We'll lead the assault. You guys just stick with me. And she starts to do good. I mean, she's coming through strong with the white glow and everything else, and she's leading it, but then she starts to have some troubles, and that Vision, for lack of better words, starts to get away from her.
Yeah, and kind of loses control, and she wakes up in the field as she crashes, and there's Shang-Chi's mom, and at that point I was like, the way she was acting, like, that's not her, that's an illusion, that's not her, and I just didn't buy it for a second that she was there. Now, my question to you is, do you believe Mysterio when it's revealed that, when she goes to it and thinks she's disarming it and she really is ending up in a cell? Do you believe Mysterio that all the rest of them are dead?
No. I think that was his way of trying to hit her to where she can't think instead of, I doubt everyone is truly dead. Now, he was like, hey, these are my holograms. Everything's my creation. You thought you were going to get past me. You were looking for the nanites. I am the nanites.
Yeah. And goes and does kind of homages to what he did to Peter in Far From Home with all the different versions of himself. And, the Watcher gave a warning at the beginning of the episode, like, Riri Williams is the last hope in every universe she's in. She's the last hope, but in every universe she fails. And so when we get to that moment where he reveals to her, like, hey, guess what? You're alone. All the rest of your compatriots are dead. And he starts taking back her powers. And then the Watcher's like, I can't watch this anymore. I've already seen this enough. And then it's just like, oh, he's going to interfere. And so he gives her a little pep talk, said, Riri, fight. fight at that moment. I was like, oh, this is not going to go well for him. But
Yeah.
it wakes her up. She resists. She takes down. Mysterio takes his nanites and starts bringing about like a new age of hope for what is left of Earth. But then Uatu's superiors see exactly what he's done, and they're like, he did it again. He interfered. He's violating our oath. So now he said, we're gonna have to watch him closely, and I'm getting this feeling like they're gonna probably gonna be like the Guardians of the Universe, kind of like the Green Lantern Corps at that point. And when someone breaks ranks a number of times, yeah, they're gonna get benched and if not taken out. So I have a feeling that's where we're headed with Uatu.
Yeah. My last note on this episode literally says the watcher stays not watching. Like
Yeah.
he always has to get involved, and it seems like this was one too many to where now everyone has to do something. It's like he broke his oath. We cannot allow this to stand.
Yeah. And but he does not throughout the comics. He's been the one that always is interfering at times, breaking his oath. So he's not just watching. And but yeah, that's where we're kind of heading. So, but yeah, if I were to kind of rank where I put these first 5 episodes, I would put, like I said, this episode, The Emergence Destroyed Earth is number 1, Howard the Duck number 2, Red Guardian number 3, and the Mech Vengers 4, and then Agatha Went to Hollywood 5. So I'm hoping that
Same.
these last 3 episodes will continue to kind of ramp it up, and season 3 goes out on a strong note versus kind of how it started. So, but yeah, we will bring those 3 episodes to you next week, and but yeah, let us see exactly where we're at. Yeah, let's take our last ad break for the evening and look at questions, listener questions, fact or fictions, and comic book club. So, listeners, this is our last ad break for the evening. These ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on. They can be a bit loud. Give it a 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. All right. So I put out the Spidey signal a little bit before, a couple of hours before the show went live to kind of see. We did have a question from last week out there, and I want to make sure to hit that one first. So we got Anthony Dorsey coming to us with a question from last week. I think it came in either probably during the show from last week, but he said, with the DCEU over and the DCU reboot already underway, what former DCEU actors would you like to show up in a Marvel full roles, not cameos or variants like Ben Affleck as Daredevil? So, who do you want to see come over?
Ooh, that is a good one. I mean, the obvious choice is Henry Cavill as Captain Britain, but let's see, who else would I take from the DCU? I really like Gal Gadot, so I would hope that, if possible, to find a role for her within the multiversal saga. I mean, I'm sure that there's something that we can find for her. As you could take anyone other than The Rock and Zachary Levi, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I would love Henry Cavill to come over. You know, Captain Britain's just low-hanging fruit. I'd enjoyed the Cavalrine. One day we can dream, but yeah, I'm with you with Gal Gadot and bringing her over, even to some extent. I know we boo-hiss The Rock, but I think Dwayne Johnson could be found some way in there as well. And you know what? Let's bring John Cena over. I know John Cena's in DCU proper at that point, but we can do that. I don't see Ben Affleck coming back over. I think, outside of maybe an appearance as Daredevil in Secret Wars, I just don't. I think a lot of those. I think most of the DCEU actors are just going to be like, we're good. Momoa, maybe at that point, but I would like to see Momoa take on something where he's not Momoa.
Yeah.
If you get my drift, because I do think he can give us more than falling into his archetype. And again, he's marketed it very well. It's making him a ton of money. Lean into it at that point. But I always like to see actors try something different if they can do it, which I think he has the capability of doing it. So
Yeah, he definitely does. I mean, just watch his work on Game of Thrones. Like, he can be a stoic character. Right now, they just have him as the fun guy. I was talking to somebody about the Minecraft trailer for their new movie, and
saw
they're
that.
like, "All right,
Not
I recognize Steve." They're like, "But who's Jason Momoa supposed to be?" I said, "Jason Momoa. That's who he's supposed to be. It's Jason Momoa playing Jason Momoa like that. That's all this is."
Yep, and Jack Black playing Jack Black.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see if any of them come over. I will not be surprised if none of them come over. It's just time has passed, and it may just be Henry Cavill's cavalry, and that's the closest we get. So,
Yeah.
he does have Fact or Fiction, so we're gonna leave that for Fact or Fiction. We get our buddy Stu Little coming at us saying, "I've got one question. What is it with these sickos?" And what he did was, this was posted on either Threads or Blue Sky, and he had images of Darcy and Howard the Duck, and then Leah Thompson and Howard the Duck. For some reason, yes, they want duck on human hybrids.
Yeah,
don't know
the
what
bestiality
fascinates-
takes a little bit to get used to. At least in this form, it was more animated than it was with the original Howard the Duck. That one's a little bit more, especially that
R-rated?
scene that we're not going to talk about. That scene does tend to, that's something you may want to buzz past. But other than that, yeah, I think because they had the setup with the original movie, that made this one a little bit easier to wrap your head around and digest as a viewer, rather than this coming out of nowhere. You've had the scenes of Howard flirting and being the ladies' man, or attempting to be the drunk ladies' man and stuff like that. So it's not implausible for his character.
Yeah, it's just it's been I wouldn't say never. I've only seen Howard the Duck movie once, and that was all I needed to see. And it's just one of those that's saying, I guess they just love the idea of making people like yourself and others just like, why do we keep doing this? Why? Why can't we just have Howard the Duck be Howard the Duck? It's just, you never know. But yeah, Joe from A Walk Through the Multiverse and DC Alliance came and gave us a question to close us out, saying, if we get a Council of Reeds by the end of the Multiverse saga, what are the chances of older actors reprising their role as Reed Richards? What do you think?
I think if we get a Council of Reeds, there's a very strong chance that we get all of the previous Reed Richards Fantastic Four actors to come through and at least some sort of cameo, and I would be okay with that. I could see a situation where we have Miles Teller come back, and that would be great. That movie catches a lot of flack that is warranted. But just to have that fun little nod to it would be cool, just to have that, and go from there. Now, I'm not sure if the gentleman who played Reed Richards in the original Fantastic Four, the 1994 one, is still alive. But I mean, you could even have him in as an older version of Reed. So, I mean, there's ways to make it happen, even as a wink and a nod. And I'm looking on IMDb, and yep, as of right now, he is still alive. So if you want to throw him in as an older one, and heck, even bring back a John Krasinski and have him as a little cameo, just get all the nods, but only for the Council of Reeds. Like, I don't want to see multiple scenes where you're doing the Elseworlds Reeds. If you're going to do a Council of Reeds, let that be it, and then move on.
Just do what they did with the Council of Kangs at that point. Put Pedro Pascal's face on everything in different ways. You know, everyone wants to see Daddy Pascal. Come on. He's putting those thirst traps out there for the ladies. Did you see the other one today where he's sitting on the beach shirtless at that point? He knows what he's doing.
Why is Reed Richards wearing a Mandalorian helmet?
This is the way. You know, I will say this, Joe. If you throw enough money at people, most of the time, they'll do it. So I think there's always a chance if they're willing to throw the money at it. You know?
Yeah.
So will we see a Council of Reeds? I don't know if we're going to see a Council of Reeds this early on. I don't say it's a non-zero chance. I'd be very surprised if we're going to go about that this early.
I think it might be a little bit confusing to the general audience right now.
Yeah. Because, yeah, I mean, we all remember what happened in Quantumania, right? So, but, all right. Let me pull up our Factor Fictions from last week, which were yours. And always interesting to see how everyone votes and what they feel, especially when they go against what I was thinking. Oh, they're choosing violence today. All right. We will get a nod to the Fantastic Four-stick version of the Fantastic Four in a future MCU movie. 42% said fact, 58% fiction. We don't need the memories of that. I still haven't watched it. No one's made me do it. Maybe it could be a Patreon thing at that point. Make Chris do it. Number 2, Jeff from Marvel Rivals will appear in another Marvel medium. 90% said fact, 10% said fiction. I think Brad Windenbaum saying it's just a question of when Jeff shows up.
Jeff will not be denied.
That's cool. Glad for all you Jeff fans. We will have 3 X-Men actors named before SDCC 2025. 36% said fact, 64% fiction. I think they're all thinking of me and said, yeah, I think we're going to be holding it close to the chest on the X-Men for a bit. So, but all right, let me pull up my Factor Fictions for this week. If I'm not mistaken, I think mine are very much what if based. Okay, here we go. Let's stick with Howard the Duck because I know Stu Little really likes Howard the Duck. We will see Howard the Duck in live action again, as voiced by Seth Green.
Oh,
remember, we did see him.
Fact.
He wasn't. He didn't have a voice, but he did show up in Endgame with his gun, ready to fight.
I believe he was credited to Nathan Fillion in Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Probably. We're gonna go with probably on that one.
Yeah, because he was in the Collector's collection.
That end credit sequence at that point. But yeah, so yeah, I'm a fact as well. I think he's gonna come back. I don't know if he's gonna be a huge part, but I think we're gonna see him again, much to other people's chagrin. We will see Uatu the Watcher make his first live screen debut. Now, I've said this before, but I'm gonna put a movie in it. We will see his on-screen debut in the Fantastic Four First Steps.
Ooh, I'm going to go fiction on that because when you said it before you named the movie, Doomsday popped into my head. So, but then once you narrowed it down to Fantastic Four, I think that's going to be the ticker.
Okay, well, the reason I say this, one, because Uatu was very much tied to the Fantastic Four for a while and had been very early on. 2, we know at some point the Fantastic Four are going to be brought into 616 proper. Or 1999, however you want to call it. So, a cataclysmic event getting ready to happen. The Watcher shows up at those times of pivotal moments. Could be the time to bring Jeffrey Wright into the forefront. I'm a fact on that one. I'm not 100% fact, but that's my justification for why I'm fact on that one.
It's plausible, but I'm thinking that it's going to be Doomsday.
Okay. All right. Still also a good guess as well. All right. Last one. The first trailer for the Fantastic Four First Steps will drop during the Super Bowl. Much like Deadpool and Wolverine dropped in the Super Bowl, had some huge hits at that point. That's when I think we get our first full trailer. Could be one of those like 30 seconds one and then see the full trailer online right now.
I'm going to be nitpicky with this one.
Okay.
When you say during the Super Bowl, are we talking about during the Super Bowl proper? Because Marvel sometimes will drop some an hour beforehand, and then they will actually drop. If they have multiples to drop, they will drop one beforehand, and then they will drop a long
Let's
form
not be
one
that nitpicky.
at halftime.
Let's not be that nitpicky. We're just gonna say, like Super Bowl day.
Yes,
Apparently will drop Super Bowl day.
I'm fully on board with that.
We're not going to be that nitpicky. We're not going to be like trying to poke holes in it. It's going to happen on Super Bowl Sunday.
Like it from any time from pregame to the postgame, it can happen. Cool.
We know where they're probably going to do it. If they're going to do the pregame stuff, it's going to be right before the game starts. At that point.
Yes.
But all right, so we'll put those out there on Sunday afternoon. Let your voices be heard with that. And let us head into Comic Book Club. So we are on, I believe, Young Avengers. Let's see. Let me pull up.
Number 9.
Number 9. Yes, exactly. So finally starting some movement with what we're doing. Because if I get another issue of saying, oh, they shouldn't exist, because that's how this issue kind of starts, saying, they're dealing with they can't be a team anymore, and they're having to let other people and the real quote-unquote heroes save the day. We finally get some movement on what's going on. So what did you think about this issue overall?
I like this issue. I've been loving Young Avengers. I mean, I loved it the first time I read it. So I like their team dynamic, and this is a great issue dealing with the fallout of the drug situation that we had last time, and the will they won't they train us and going forward from there. So this, I've been loving the direction of this, and I am glad that they've been keeping a strong pace and not falling off after the first major story.
Yeah, especially when they're all kind of listening into what's going to happen with the jumper. They're all trying to find a way to get over there at that point. And then I like Hulkling, who stops the Purse Snatcher by basically changing his face to Reed Richards. That was kind of cool. But then they're all meeting and trying to get Eli to say, "Hey, we're to hell with what Steve Rogers says at that point. We're going to be this team." And he's like, "No, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I betrayed your trust. I don't have powers. What do you expect me to do?" And that's when we get suddenly Hulkling's captured by a super Skrull, and Hulkling's just like, "What are you doing?" He keeps on calling the Hatchling. He's like, "I'm not I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a mutant. I'm not a Skrull." And it leads to this huge battle between the Young Avengers and the Super Skrull, who is trying to get Hulkling, and basically what they're thinking is kidnap him.
Yeah. So the first time I saw this, or the first time I read this, when they introduced the Super Skrull to it, before knowing the direction that they were going to take with the character, I was like, okay, I was thinking that this is about to expand to more than just the Avengers. We're going to get like full on Marvel because you're bringing in the Skrulls, but it gave a very interesting layer to what was about to come next with that character.
Yeah, and understanding like when they kind of retreat back to his house and saying, well, that's the first place they're going to look, and so it's going to our house and Wiccan's house, and it's like, oh, his mom's already there, and that's when this girl, Super Skrull, comes in and he's captured Eli, and said like, well, Hulk will say, fine, I'll come with you, and his mom's like, no, it's okay. Once he sees them not Skrull, it's like, but you are, and he does that kind of, I guess, like this big reveal device at that point. He stays the same, but his mom is revealed to be a Skrull, and revealed that she's not his mom. She's just there at the behest of the Empress to protect him. And Super Skrull kills her, and when Wiccan's trying to save her, he's unable to do it, and they discover that Teddy has been taken. So big revelation at that point is Wiccan's mom is not his mom. We still don't know for sure if he's a Skrull or not, because he didn't get revealed to be a Skrull. He kept his human form. But it's leading us to believe that he's got some sort of Skrull background, because
They sent a high-end babysitter to pretend that that's mom.
he's got a power set, but he has powers that he can do more than just the 4 powers of the Fantastic Four. So yeah, so we will see what happens next week with issue number 10. So we'll continue our journey with that, and all right, episode 242 in the books. We will. This is technically the final episode of Marvel Alliance for 2024. So we appreciate everyone who's been with us and enjoyed having you all here with us. We will continue our breakdown. A big Marvel year. The MCU is kind of, we only had one MCU movie, plenty of Disney Plus shows, but MCU is coming back swinging with the movies next year. So we're looking forward to a lot of stuff, and we'll probably have that discussion pretty soon in the next future episodes post What If. But I want to wish Happy New Year to everyone in our Marvel Alliance family. And David, tell people how they can follow you.
You can follow me on all socials at The Phantom. Like I said before, if you're into wrestling, I'm also on the wrestling show The Gimmick here on the Geekverse Network. But other than that, yeah, catch me on the socials at The Phantom. I'm active on every single one of them.
Yep, and you can catch me on all the socials at Chris Balga. You can catch me on my other weekly show, co-hosting on the Brave and the Boys channel, the OPB Buyer's Guide, Weekly Buyer's Guide. We go live every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can actually catch me tomorrow night on the Omni Bros channel at 8 p.m., just breaking down, just hanging out with my friend Jess, and talking everything comics. Don't know what besides that, maybe our recent hauls, things like that, but check me out on the Omni Bros YouTube channel tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can email the show at Marvel Alliance at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the show on Twitter/X at Marvel A Podcast. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter/X at GUA Pod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you want to provide feedback. DMs are open across the board. Oh, we got to stop. We totally forgot, and I didn't mean to forget. Anthony Dorsey's Fact or Fiction.
Oh, yes.
So we got to pause before we say goodbye. Deadpool and Wolverine will not be in Avengers Doomsday, but they will be in Secret Wars. What do you think? Fact or fiction?
I'm going to say fact for that.
They will not be in Doomsday, but in Secret Wars. I will say fiction because I think it's post-credits. I'll say post-credits of Doomsday. What better way to get people? They're already going to show up for Secret Wars. What better way to get them excited? Have them be there. So, but anyways, sorry about that, Anthony. My bad on forgetting that, but we made sure to get it in right there, so we will put that out there as well. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining us live in the chat. Stay safe out there, everyone. Happy New Year. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. All right, David. Post-credits discussion. So, Sony Pictures CEO Tony Vinquera went on the record with the LA Times today. And the article is entitled Talks Arms Dealer Strategy and Defense Spider-Man Spinoffs. So, apparently, he gives us kind of this final interview because on January 2nd, he is stepping down from his role and handing control off to the new chief operating officer in a planned succession that was signed for months. And he spoke with the Times about ahead of his last day to reflect on his 7-year tenure at Sony Pictures and what's come for him next. We're not going to read the whole article. We're going to focus on the points of when it comes up to Sony's tenure in controlling the Spider-Man franchise. So the first question that was asked about this, how do you feel about the performance of the film studio during your tenure? He said, we've had mostly very, very good results. Unfortunately, Kraven the Hunter, that we launched last weekend, and my last film to launch, it's probably the worst launch we've had in the 7.5 years. So that didn't work out very well, which I still don't understand because the film is not a bad film. We've been very successful. We've beat our budgets on every year we've been here, even though the strikes and COVID. It's been a good run. So him saying that, it's not a bad film. Okay, it's not a dumpster fire necessarily. I've seen far worse. It's not a great film. In my opinion, it's not a great film. We've been over why many times. And he's on his way out, but the fact that this is very tone deaf. You're. I understand you're still in your role, and you're not, but you. That was a line you should have said. Like, you could have left it as like it's your worst launch in history. But saying it's not a bad film, it's like it is. It really is. I'm not even talking about the critics. I'm talking about reception of it worldwide. Has said this is not a film that people wanted to go see.
It reeks of, it's not my fault. It's not our fault. Like, it shows just how out of touch these studio heads are with these things. And that becomes very evident when you read something like that. It's just like, okay, you have no idea what's going on with your audience. You have no idea how things have been doing, like, to say that, you didn't understand why certain things didn't work out. You've beat our budgets every year, all this other stuff. Like, you guys have not, it's not been good. And it's just, that is the bulk of it. You just have not put out good projects, and you've put out rush products, and you put out projects that don't understand the source material or stray too far. And you've had this whole thing where you could have used Spider-Man at any point and you didn't, and yet here we are.
Well, even with the Kraven the Hunter at that point, yes, Kraven did. I mean, let's be fair. Kraven was hunting people much during his own run because, like, the most dangerous game is man, and so he would hunt man, he would hunt other things. So, I mean, it's not too far to around the possibility because he hated poachers to begin with. But the idea of what they did with the character itself was just, it didn't ring true. But they even, they go on through the interview, and then they said, let's circle back to Kraven the Hunter. And Sony had Madam Web earlier this year, which also underperformed. And he continues on saying, let's touch on Madam Web for a moment. Madam Web underperformed in the theaters because the press just crucified it. It was not a bad film. Here we go again. And it did great on Netflix. For some reason, the press decided they didn't want us making these films of Kraven and Madam Web, and the critics just destroyed them. They also did it with Venom, and the audience loved Venom and made Venom a massive hit. These are not terrible films. They are just destroyed by critics and the press for some reason. Okay. They doubled down on Venom. Let's take Venom out of the equation because that they found something, and that movie performed better internationally than it did domestically.
Yeah.
Domestically, it had diminishing returns, and even internationally diminished, but it was better globally. To say that it's the press's fault that these movies were not successful, no. The movies weren't successful because they were not good movies. My subjective opinion, they're not good movies. I'm not going to call it a dumpster fire. They just weren't great movies. They were not well written. The camp in a lot of these, particularly Madam Web, just didn't ring true, and it was just like, what is going on with this movie? It has nothing to do with a character that people say, well, who asked for this? Oh, you could have made Madam Web a better movie. There was a way to do this. And the fact that you're saying that, it performed well on Netflix when it came out. I think the only reason it performed well on Netflix when it came out because people were just like, well, I'm not going to pay money to see this, even though I pay less for my Netflix subscription that I'll make more money out of it by seeing on Netflix. They're more curious. Just because you had better views on it does not mean people liked Madam Web. That's a very nice spin you did there, but no, that is so poor of a job that you're just blaming the press. I mean, yeah, you're leaving, so what do you care? But it's just like, dude, come on. What? That's just dumb, what you just said.
Yeah, it was, when it comes to the Netflix thing, for me, seeing those numbers, it's more like, let me finally see the dumpster fire that I wasn't willing to pay $15 or $20 and give up my Saturday evening
at one moment, not like over a month. One
yeah,
moment.
Like now I'll sit down and watch it, because when I talk to people, the press crucifying a movie is not a make or break for most people. The make or break is if you put out a bad movie, and my friends specifically, I have a friend, and she will ask me, she will text me and say, "Hey, me and my son Caleb are wanting to go see a movie. Should we go see this?" And that word of mouth, if you're putting out a bad movie, I'm going to tell you, hey, you know what? This is a good movie. Even if you don't know these characters, you'll still find enjoyment versus this is a dumpster fire. Do not waste your time. You guys go do something else with your time and your money. Like it's not the press. It's you put out a crappy movie. People saw that it's a crappy movie, and then everyone told everyone else, you know what? Save your money. Hey, look, I got A-list, so it really didn't cost me anything other than my A-list subscription. But for you, if you and your son are going out, or if you and somebody else are going out, this ain't it.
Yeah, all in the game saying understandable, has to do some PR, but read the room, buddy. It's not even to say like people didn't like it. We put it out. We had a different opinion of it. Like you don't have to say like it's not a bad movie. Like, dude, no, your people even put out the stuff like we're moving it to Christmas time because people are gonna want to see it because it's a good Christmas movie. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And all in the game said it's okay, Chris. I'm happy to call the entire universe a dumpster fire. That's okay. I understand that. I'm not gonna think less of you for doing that. You know, again, as I said before, no one in this thing. You know, despite jokes aside, they didn't go out to make really bad movies. They just put bad people in made bad decisions that created these bad movies. And,
Yeah.
you know, the final question they said, do you think the Spider-Man universe strategy needs to be rethought? He says, I do think we need to rethink it just because it's snake bitten. If we put another one out, it's going to get destroyed no matter how good or bad it is. No, 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 no. Now, I know, David, you had mentioned the idea that supposedly, like we talked about the previous week, that supposedly there has been nothing written into the Marvel Studios Sony sharing of Spider-Man that prevented them from using Spider-Man. If that is to be believed, and Sony just didn't do it, they're idiotic. And the thing I want to believe is that they, you know, it's better that Marvel controls it and they just let Marvel do it versus them. This whole thing is like, oh, they're going to get confused. No, they're not. Stop it. That's even more idiotic at that point. And it proves that, you know, Marvel and Feige have had some sort of and I'm just saying this based on conjecture, and what I think is really going on is that Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios have basically proven that they can do a better job with Spider-Man right now. And they've come to some sort of under the hand, not written into any sort of deal, like saying we're going to control it and we will kind of dictate how we want this to go. And because again, you're not even calling Spider-Man Noir, you're calling it Noir.
Yeah.
So please tell me again that we could have used it at any point. That may be true, but you're not. So you've got even more problems at that point. So no, the fact that you're saying that, oh, if we put out Spider-Man now, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. No, it will matter, because if you learn any lesson from this, you have to put farting with the writers, pick better writers.
Yeah.
And patrol it better. You can put out, say what you want about the Tobey Maguire movies. For the most part, successful and decent for their time. Andrew Garfield's, yes, I know people have problems with the second movie. I get that. First movie, still good. You can do it. You can find people who want to write for these characters. You just have to take a little time and not rush out a product just to capitalize on something. So, no, you're wrong. I'm sorry. He's wrong.
Yeah. I don't think that if you put out a good, well-written Spider-Man movie, it is going to get bombed just because of the press. If you put out a good, well-written movie, it's going to get praised because you guys put out a good, well-written movie in the form of Spider-Verse. Those are great movies, and they get great reviews because people take the time and the care with the characters. Right now, you are rushing to use some form of the Spider-Man IP and just get things out there, and that is getting bombed because they are complete and utter trash. And As much as I love Matt Smith, he is my favorite version of the Doctor, and he was trash in Morbius.
No, you take that back. Those dance moves, that scene, and that lives rent free in my head so much. I love that scene unapologetically.
I
Best part of Morbius.
as much and Matt Smith is someone who has proven that he can play that carefree character, that person who can move from the whimsical and carefree to the straight-laced hardcore. Like, he's done that as the Doctor, but you somehow couldn't get him to do it here. It's the writing, it's the production. I mean, Madam Web, it's the ADR. Like, who decided to let that go to theaters in that state? That obvious. And it wasn't one scene or two. It wasn't a moment where, you know what, we probably should have cleaned that bit up just a little bit more. No, this is just overall bad.
Yeah, so again, not to keep dogpiling on Sony, but this was just a very tone deaf, not reading the room. You can do PR spin, but this was bad PR spin. This is just like, dude, you're just spinning this completely wrong. You can defend your product, but not like this. Like, you're not understanding what the room is at this point. So we will see what happens with Sony next, but we will catch you all next year for our next episode 243 of Marvel Alliance, breaking down the final 3 episodes of What If Season 3. All right, we'll catch you all later. Happy New Year, all.
Happy New Year.